Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche pregame show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Megan, Rudo, AJ coming to you live as the Avs take on the Detroit Red Wings I guess it's a 1 o'clock local start, but 11 a.m. for us here in Colorado is pretty early for an NHL game.
I set my alarm for 9 a.m. And when it went off, I was like, why am I getting up this early? And then I started doing the math, and I was like, I need to get up this early.
It's unfortunate.
So dumb.
Meanwhile, probably plenty of people in our chat get up well earlier than that every day. But, you know, our NHL schedules are a little bit different. We're up late at night. We don't get up early in the morning. Hopefully the Avs got up early enough to be ready for this one, though.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to see them play the real game at morning skate? Because it's kind of what this is.
That's what you're getting. Look, it's Detroit. I think everyone on this podcast doesn't really believe in the rivalry. Certainly not in the way that it was. I don't care about the rivalry at all, personally. But still a team you want to beat when you get out on the ice and play against them, yeah?
Yes.
Let me rephrase it this way. Is there a little something extra when the Avs play Detroit?
Maybe not for the Avs, but I think for the fan base, there certainly still is.
Okay.
The way that I described this to somebody who asked me about it the other day when they were asking me if the Avs had a rival, I said, look, obviously it's no Colorado Detroit during its heyday, but when the Avs and Red Wings play, I get a 3-hour hate boner. That's it. I get my hate on.
It happens and then it's done.
Exactly. They're the worst in the world. And then when it's over, I immediately move on and forget that they exist.
Fair enough.
It's just whatever. And especially with the situation today, I will probably care less about this outcome than I have in a Avs Red Wings game in a long time.
You'd still like to see the Avs take the W here. Obviously, they're going for the perfect road trip, which would be fun, if nothing else. And it's every game at this point is an opportunity to try to close in on Dallas if you're trying to chase down Vegas or whoever in the Pacific as well. Every point does matter. So start there. It's not official, or maybe it is official. I don't know. I haven't actually checked, but it's going to be Georgiev in net tonight. Look, been playing pretty well lately. Can he keep that rolling? And we've seen goalies kind of ramp up to the playoffs historically with the Avs. They very regularly hit January and start playing a lot better. Are we seeing that out of Georgiev as well? Is this something that he can sustain into the playoffs a little bit?
It feels like it's different from Kemper because Kemper's back half of the season was so good. He ramped up his starting off point. He could really only go up from there. And that's not to say he was playing so poorly in the October-November timeframe. It just really went up from there. Whereas Georgiev started off playing pretty well.
Yep.
And so I don't think that he ramps it up in extreme degree, but I think that this is where the consistency gets tested. And it's already been tested throughout points this season, and it's actually one of Georgiev's strengths, I feel, that he doesn't have stretches of bad games. He is usually able to turn things around, and so this is a real test to, is Georgiev made out to be a starter? I believe that he is. I believe that he can endure this, and I think that he's going to demonstrate that in the back half. But I'm not looking to see him get observably better, just to stay as good as he has been over a long period of time.
I think that conversation about not stringing together bad games is key for a goaltender. When you start talking about the playoffs, you have one bad game in a series, toss that one out. If you can play consistently around that, you give your team a chance to win the whole series. So not stringing two bad games together would be key for Georgiev. Not that he's done that lately. He's played very, very well. So hopefully he can continue that against Detroit.
It's really just the month of December.
Yeah, and that was his one struggle month.
And like, if you look at everything going on with the Avs, at the time, you're like, how much of that is Georgiev and how much of that is the AHL team that they had in front of him?
Not wrong.
You know, you're playing the Boston Bruins twice.
with
with
half an NHL
yeah,
lineup.
$30 million
Yeah.
on IR. Like, you know, I know Francouz was a sacrificial lamb for one of those, but you're still talking about like that was his worst month, and that was the month where the injuries peaked, got way out of control, and it was like, okay, how much of this is him and how much? And since then, he's just been so good.
It's hard not to feel really good about him. I think not just of late, but Megan, as you were saying, as the whole year has gone, look, the Avs have been through Grubauer now, Kemper as well. You go back a little bit further, Varley was pretty good for them, but you've seen a lot of goalies that have come in and at first not adjusted to the Colorado super well. Georgiev came here and was ready to play this system from the beginning. So hopefully there is a little bit of natural. I don't know if chemistry is the right word with your goalie, but we'll go with chemistry there. The other side of this, Avs 3-0 on this road trip, looking to make it 4-0. You'd like to see them push this momentum. Before that rough stretch, I think they were 7-2-2 in their last 13 or something like that. Can they go on another run like that, especially given the schedule they have coming up?
I think when they won that Toronto game, it breathed life into this possibility that this stretch is possible, that they can chase Dallas in the Central. It inspired a lot of hope in me as a viewer, and I have to imagine it did in the team as well. So looking at the caliber of competition ahead of them too, including today, it is a very winnable game. They have a fresh Georgiev in net. There's a lot of reasons why this should still be another game that they win, and they should be looking ahead from this too to string together several wins now.
Other side of that coin, it's a matinee game.
Anything can happen.
What's the secret sauce, AJ? How do you prevent the chaos from creeping in these morning, afternoon games?
You don't. You just be better at it.
Okay.
And
Just
the
thrive
thing.
in it?
Well, and this is where I'd love to actually compare the Avs to the rest of the league at this, but
Sure.
in second half of back-to-backs and in afternoon games specifically, two of the most like chaotic situations that an NHL team faces schedule-wise, the Avalanche have been dominant in both over the last several years, and even this year with the injuries and all the problems that the Avs have had this year. Second half of back-to-backs, they've been great. We just saw it 2 nights ago. And in afternoon games, I believe they've lost one matinee game this year. And they've played like
been very
4 or
good.
5 of them.
Yeah.
Like they've been really, really good. So that's one where if you're looking for reasons to believe, it kind of feels like the stars have aligned for a good Avalanche result here. Detroit's 2-7-1 in their last 10. They're basically a 500 team at home. The Avs are better on the road than they are at home. Matinee games, the Avs have been really good at. Like, all these things kind of feel like they're lining up to set up for the 4-0 road trip where you feel really good about it. And obviously, the games have to get played. Like,
You got to go out and perform.
yeah, and
regardless.
everything still has to, you have to go out and you have to get the bounces. You have to work hard. You got to put in the work and blah, 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 blah. But they're the better team. They should be favored today. After 2 games where, the Toronto game, they were an underdog.
Yeah.
And then the Ottawa game, they were the Segababa team. And, today they should be back being favorites. And we'll see. Well, we'll see. We know that Ottawa really didn't like the way that they got beat down in Denver.
Sure.
That was the thing that they had talked about after that game, that they wanted to make it a more competitive environment in Ottawa, and I think Detroit will feel the same.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Also, something you'd like to see the Avs start doing here is win the games they're supposed to win, right?
Well, they've got 16 games left. It's about 13 of them.
Right. And if
we're being honest,
if they win the games they're supposed to, they've got a pretty good chance at winning the Central.
yeah, they start the day 3 points back of Dallas with 2 games in hand. Both teams play today. The Avs are in Detroit and Dallas is in Calgary. So you certainly like the possibility that by the end of the day,
It could be within one.
you're within 1 point with two games in hand. But it really is. We are hurtling towards that game in Denver here in a couple of weeks between the Stars and Avs being really big.
Yep. It's going to matter for sure. When it comes to the Avs, look, I talk a lot about this team playing positionless hockey. It's not fully true, but you do see a lot of things like the Avs defenseman willingly jumping in on the rush as more of a third forward than a defenseman. Oftentimes, you very regularly see the Avs do things like have Mikko take a face off. Now, the center usually has the defensive responsibilities still there.
Mikko's face-off technique is the best because he's just like, I'm really big.
Large.
So I'm just going to try and push that guy over.
Be big.
Yeah.
Like, large.
It's very funny.
Better than Lecky's face-offs, that's for sure.
Don't speak ill of him.
For such a good stick, you'd think he would be good at it, but he's
just good at slapping at things.
just a lack of interest
On
is really
Hockey in
it.
Finland Day, don't speak ill of him.
Is that today? Is it
today.
really okay?
I think it's like Hockey Day in Finland. I might be mistitling
Same
it,
difference.
but-
Translation error.
Translation error. Thank you.
But all of this kind of continuing to needle at this idea of, especially with Lehkonen out, how do they continue to fill those roles using guys that maybe you would consider a center with an E-Rod, with a new hook, even, consider something crazy like throwing a Lars Eller up there for a shifter or two. Is there a willingness to swap positional guys out of center for Colorado?
Not so far.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Bednar doesn't strike me as someone who would be opposed to that, but I haven't seen it yet.
All right.
I'm trying to think too, like who that person is. It's usually because since they've been able to run 12-6 as desired, I've seen a lot less of
Sure.
the swapping.
The madness.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that is McKinnon doing that.
You're right.
But he's still playing center. So
Yeah.
to be fair, haven't quite seen it.
You will get the very occasional JT Compher face-off with McKinnon and Rantanen, where Compher will take the
trying to win
face-off
one
and
yeah.
and then it's not like he gets off the ice. It's just they're in the offensive zone. They think they've got a matchup or whatever, and so they'll sneak Compher out there for a shift, and they'll do that. But Bednar has always done that. He's always
Sure.
like
He
in a
definitely
certain situation, he'll
will
make
take
like
the
a
matchup
little
advantage,
tinker here or there for a shift just to try it.
but no steady.
Yeah, there and especially like we talk about certain like JT Compher is pretty entrenched as 2C right now.
Yep.
Alex Newhook is fairly entrenched as 4C right now.
Yep.
And Evan Rodriguez has not played very much. He played like 3 games at center this year.
Yep.
Otherwise, he's predominantly been a wing. He's moved around on different sides, but he's predominantly been a wing. So they really have not asked these guys to like
Out of position.
yeah, and I think that's out of Bednar's respect for all the defensive demands that they put on the center. That those guys have to take care of that part of the ice, and if a guy is not comfortable with it and he's not game by game, it's just a lot to go from okay, well here's your job, on the wall, here's your job in the middle of the ice. It's asking a lot for somebody to kind of just turn that on and off from game to game. So
Yeah.
that's the area where we haven't really seen a lot of it. But when wings are playing on different sides, we've seen a lot of that. But yeah, the centers, despite the on paper flexibility, hasn't really been utilized that way.
Because I could see in the absence of Lehkonen, Newhook being elevated for a few shifts on wing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I think there's probably some reason we haven't really seen it. It's probably because he's tending to his duties on the fourth line as a centerman. So I wouldn't be opposed to him getting a couple shifts on wing, though. It kind of depends on how Evan Rodriguez's night or afternoon is going, though.
Definitely fair. A lot of adjustments right now for the Avs top 6 rest around is E-Rod working or not.
Well, what's weird is that like Dennis Mulligan's been on your second line for 2 games and you haven't even noticed.
It's kind of been fine.
Yeah,
Totally serviceable. Yeah.
that line hasn't really even come close to scoring a goal, but you're like,
You're also
they're not getting scored
buried.
on.
Yeah.
So like you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, that's center. He's a JT Conver's a good defensive center. Nichushkin's obviously good defensive forward. Dennis Mulligan's fine. Like he's fine.
He's not killing you.
He's moonlighted up there, just fine so far. But you do need some goals out of that line eventually.
$5 from our dude Banks, who says watching the game while driving back to Charlotte. Let's go 4-0 on the road. Just wanted to show some love. Thank you very much.
Please don't watch the game while you drive. Just
Yeah,
listen.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, assuming he's in the passenger seat. Someone else is driving.
Standstill traffic.
Yeah, be safe out there.
Even then, I'm not encouraging that. I'm sorry.
I have like the little holder in my car now, and so things will play, but I don't ever actually like watch it actively.
Well, I'll put a YouTube video on and listen to it.
Yeah,
Yes,
totally.
definitely.
Yeah, but watch, no.
Yeah, like I listen to TV shows and movies a lot when I'm at home anyway, so it was just kind of second nature for me to be like, oh, I'm on a road trip and I'm driving for a long time. I burn through seasons of TV because I just download all the episodes ahead of time.
Yep.
And there's some that you just can't. Like you get to listening to them, and like, let me tell you, action movies are the worst for this.
You're missing a lot of the plot.
Well, because like you don't realize how much filler nonsense are in action movies until you try and listen to one
Without any.
and you end up with 9 minutes of and you're just like, oh, okay, I don't know what's going on right now.
All right, let's get into our DraftKings bets here. You can continue going. We're gonna just take this parlay until it hits. All right. I saw someone talk about it earlier in the chat. McKinnon, 15 points from 100, 15 games to play. Does he get there?
I don't like doing predictions anymore.
Okay. Megan, does he get there? Cowards. I'll say he gets there. I think he does it.
It's not that I don't think he can, obviously. It's that it feels cursed and that he's going to get to 98 and something terrible is going to happen.
Exactly. It's been derailed by injury. And so it's not for a lack of him being able to beyond injury. I don't want to say.
Well, 2 goals tonight.
Neither
would put
one of
him in
us
the
want
right
to be one
direction.
blamed for something terrible happening.
Yeah,
I guess it's
it's your
98.
fault. I will blame myself if Nathan McKinnon gets hurt at 98 points.
No, he
all right,
won't.
it's not happening. He's reaching 100. You can take the parlay. If McKinnon gets 2 tonight, you feel pretty good about it. Mikko, always easy goal scorer right now as he tries to chase down 50 as well. Avs pretty big favorites today. So you might be interested in getting into not necessarily that parlay, but go find one that you like. Take the over, take the Avs to win. That's always an easy one. Jump on it over at DraftKings. You must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See the show notes down below for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And it's all void in Ohio. I got a steak to eat here. So final thoughts, and then we'll get out of here.
I was trying to find a lineup, but
I keep peeking. Nothing is
there's
about yet.
nothing
We're
out
10
there.
minutes away.
Yeah.
Is this game starting on time?
It never does it? If they push it to 11:30, we riot.
they played the early game on national TV the other day. Couldn't get that thing going.
It's brutal. It's brutal out here. We appreciate all y'all. No watch along because we are crossing over with the Nuggets today, but we will be live post game breaking it all down for you no matter what happens. So tune into that either way. Enjoy the game, and we will see you after.